In this video, we'll be taking a look at 4 NBA games happening on January 15, 2026, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games, so 8 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 4 NBA games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start, if you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Utah Jazz versus Dallas Mavericks. The Utah Jazz and the Dallas Mavericks square off on Thursday night at the American Airlines Center, and honestly, it is not exactly a glamour spot for either side right now. Utah is coming off a loss to the Bulls and a win over the Cavs, but they have still dropped 7 of their last 9 games, so the trend has clearly been heading the wrong way. Dallas just lost to the Nuggets, bounced back against the Nets, and they have still fallen in 9 of their last 13, so neither locker room is feeling fantastic about recent results. The Jazz are still without George Niang, Walker Kessler, and Lauri Markkanen, which strips away size, shooting, and one of their main offensive pillars all at once. The Mavericks have ruled out Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, Derek Lively II, Cooper Flagg, and Max Christie, at least on paper, so you are dealing with a matchup where both rosters look messy and thin, and you would not blame anyone for wanting to pass entirely. Still, if you are forced to choose a side, there are a couple of practical angles that lean toward Dallas. Both teams are on the back end of a back-to-back, and that alone makes things tricky, but the Mavericks do not have to travel after playing last night, while the Jazz do, and that small detail often matters late in games when legs get heavy and decisions get a little slower. Utah is also just 5-14 straight up on the road, which makes the idea of laying points with them in another team's building feel a bit shaky, even if the opponent is not exactly flying. This will be just the 3rd time all season that the Jazz have been road favorites, and they are 1-1 straight up and against the spread in those previous spots, so there is no established pattern that says they suddenly flip a switch when laying chalk away from home. Given the travel edge for Dallas, the Jazz's weak road record, and the simple fact that neither team is trustworthy enough to lay a price with confidence, leaning toward the home underdog with points in its pocket feels like the more reasonable stance, even if it is not particularly fun. As our first pick for this matchup, the Dallas Mavericks to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. The Jazz are averaging 119 points per game on 46.2% shooting from the field, which shows they can still put the ball in the basket despite missing key pieces, but they are allowing a massive 127.3 points on 49.2% shooting on the other end, which is where things really open up. They are hitting 35% of their threes and 80.2% from the free throw line, and they are allowing opponents to shoot 37.3% from deep while grabbing 44.6 rebounds per game, all of which adds up to plenty of possessions, plenty of clean looks, and not a lot of defensive suffocation. Dallas is averaging 113 points on 46.9% shooting and giving up 117.2 points on 46.2% shooting, so their games also tend to drift into higher scoring ranges rather than turning into rock fights. The Mavericks are shooting 33.8% from beyond the arc and 75.7% at the free throw line, and they are allowing just 33.1% shooting from deep while grabbing 44.7 rebounds per game. That mix suggests they can still find offense even without all their names available, and their rebounding numbers, combined with Utah's defensive issues, should keep feeding both teams enough trips to push the total upward. Put side by side, you have one team that scores well and bleeds points and another that lives in the low 100 teens on both offense and defense, which is exactly the sort of blend that often tilts a game toward a higher combined total. Even if fatigue from the back-to-back schedule slows things during short stretches, the overall profiles still point to enough scoring, enough free throws, and enough breakdowns on defense for this matchup to lean toward landing over a typical projected number rather than sneaking under it. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. New York Knicks versus Golden State Warriors. The New York Knicks and Golden State Warriors meet Thursday at the Chase Center, and both come in with very different vibes right now. The Knicks just lost to the Kings, bounced back against the Trail Blazers, and have the Suns on deck. But the bigger story is they have dropped 6 of their last 8 games overall, so the momentum is clearly going the wrong way. Golden State handled the Trail Blazers, then fell to the Hawks, and with the Hornets up next, they are still sitting on a stretch where they have won 9 of their last 13, which looks a lot steadier by comparison. Lately, the Knicks have not only been losing more often, they have been burning tickets too, failing to cover 8 of their last 10 games, which is the kind of pattern that makes bettors nervous fast. And to make matters worse, they are on the second night of a back-to-back, and there is a real chance Jalen Brunson sits after leaving last night's game with an ankle issue, and if he is out or limited, that is a massive hit to their playmaking and late-game shot creation. On the flip side, the Warriors are at home, rested, and healthy, which is a pretty comfortable spot for a veteran group that has been taking care of business against weaker opponents over the last couple of weeks. The Knicks are not a bottom feeder, of course, but they are firmly in slump mode right now, and if Brunson cannot go, they suddenly start to look a lot closer to that vulnerable category, especially in a tough building on tired legs. Here is the thing, the point spread itself is already sending a message. Odds makers are not exactly begging you to grab the Warriors at a bargain price. They are telling you how they see the gap between a rested, rolling Golden State side and a Knicks team that is banged up, on a back-to-back, and struggling both straight up and against the number. Given that setup, it makes a lot more sense to trust the home favorite that has form, health, and rest on its side than to hope the slumping road team suddenly flips a switch without its star guard at full strength. As our first pick for this matchup, the Golden State Warriors to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. The Knicks are averaging 120.5 points per game on 47.3% shooting from the field, which tells you their offense has real punch when it is rolling, even if the recent results have been uneven. They are allowing 115 points on 46.6% shooting, so opponents are far from locked down, and there is enough give on that end for games to open up. From deep, they are hitting 38.1% of their three-point attempts and 80.2% from the free throw line, which is a strong combo for putting pressure on a defense, stretching the floor, and cashing in when they get to the stripe. Defensively, they are allowing 37.1% shooting from beyond the arc and grabbing 46.2 rebounds per game, so there are plenty of long rebounds, extra possessions, and chances for quick runouts built into their usual box score. Golden State brings its own offensive profile to the table, averaging 115.5 points on 45.6% shooting and allowing 113.7 points on 47.2% shooting, which is another hint that games involving the Warriors rarely feel like half-court rock fights for 4 quarters. They are shooting 35.9% from 3 and 82% at the free throw line, which gives them a reliable mix of perimeter threat and efficiency when they draw contact. On the defensive side, they are allowing 34.8% shooting from deep and pulling down 43.5 rebounds per game, so you still get enough missed shots and enough pace for both teams to find scoring runs. Put those numbers together and you are basically looking at 2 offenses that live in the 100 teens, with defenses that are good enough to compete but not so suffocating that they drag every game into the mud. Even if fatigue from the Knicks back-to-back shows up a bit, that can just as easily lead to slower rotations and more open looks for Warriors shooters as it can to missed shots, and tired legs on defense are usually worse than tired legs on offense. So from a totals angle, the combination of efficient scoring, high-level three-point shooting, solid free throw numbers, and defenses that allow a fair amount of production on the other end supports the idea of this matchup trending toward a higher combined score rather than a low-scoring grind. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Atlanta Hawks versus Portland Trail Blazers. The Atlanta Hawks and Portland Trail Blazers get together on Thursday at the Moda Center, and it is one of those spots where both teams look a little different than their records suggest. Atlanta just beat the Warriors, then lost to the Lakers, and they have the Celtics up next. But the larger pattern is that they have dropped 14 of their last 21 games, so consistency has clearly been an issue. Portland comes in off losses to the Knicks and Warriors, with the Lakers on deck, yet they have still won 7 of their last 10, which is a pretty sharp turnaround compared to the way their season started. So you have one team with a recent losing tilt and another one riding a quiet surge, which already makes this matchup feel a bit slippery at first glance. In terms of personnel, the Hawks are still listed as missing Zachary Rysakar, Kristaps Porzingis, and Luke Kennard, which on paper looks like a lot of firepower and depth out of the mix, even if the roster notes are a bit messy. Portland is still without Chris Murray and Scoot Henderson, and Denny Avdija and Jeremy Grant are both tagged as questionable, so their forward and guard rotations could be very thin again if those questionable tags slide into out closer to tip. Atlanta is coming into this game off an ugly loss to the Lakers, and that definitely lingers in the mind. But before that setback, they had started to warm up, and there is a reasonable expectation they continue to get more comfortable as CJ McCollum settles in with his new teammates and the chemistry improves. Portland, on the other hand, was one of the hottest teams in the league just a week ago, ripping through opponents during that 7 of 10 run, but back-to-back losses have stalled that momentum a bit, and things only get trickier if Avdija or Grant remain sidelined. Here is where the schedule and context really start to matter. The Trailblazers are dealing with injuries and a suddenly thinner lineup, and if they are missing just one more key rotation player, that puts a lot of pressure on the remaining starters to carry heavy minutes against a Hawks group that, for all its flaws, can score in bunches. In a spot like this, even if the matchup feels close, the healthier or deeper team often has the late game edge, especially when the opponent is patching holes on the fly. That is why, even acknowledging that this is not some massive mismatch, the Hawks being road favorites still makes sense, and it feels reasonable to expect them to take advantage of a depleted Portland side that might not have enough steady scoring options if the game tightens late. It is not about Atlanta being perfect, it is about them being just a little more stable than what the Blazers can put on the floor right now if those questionable tags do not break their way. As our first pick for this matchup, the Atlanta Hawks to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. The Atlanta Hawks are averaging 118.4 points on 48% shooting and allowing 118.4 points on 47.5% shooting. They are shooting 37.4% from beyond the arc and 77.3% from the free throw line. They are allowing 35.1% shooting from deep and are grabbing 42 rebounds per game. That combination says a lot. They score efficiently, they give up almost as much as they produce, and they do not exactly smother opponents on the perimeter. The Portland Trail Blazers are averaging 116.3 points on 44.8% shooting and allowing 118.9 points on 47.2% shooting. They are shooting 34% from beyond the arc and 78% from the free throw line. They are allowing 35% shooting from deep and are grabbing 45.2 rebounds per game. So again, you see an offense that can put up respectable numbers, a defense that leaks, and rebounding that helps keep possessions alive for both sides. Put side by side, you have two teams that generally live in the mid-100 teens on both ends, which is usually a strong foundation for an over, especially when neither defense grades out as particularly stingy in the way these stats describe. The Hawks' efficient shooting, paired with Portland's willingness to trade buckets and their own defensive lapses, sets up a game where it does not take much, one hot quarter here, a free throw parade there, for the combined score to start creeping past a typical projected line. Even if injuries slightly shuffle rotations, that can just as easily hurt defensive communication as it can hurt offensive flow, which often tilts things toward more scoring rather than less. So from a totals perspective, when you look at both scoring averages, field goal percentages, three-point numbers, and the points each side allows, this matchup lines up more with a game that keeps the scoreboard moving than one that gets bogged down possession by possession. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Charlotte Hornets versus Los Angeles Lakers. The Charlotte Hornets visit the Los Angeles Lakers at Crypto.com Arena on Thursday night, and both teams are trying to shake off some recent wobble in their form. Charlotte just beat the Jazz, then fell to the Clippers, and they have the Warriors up next, but they have still dropped 3 of their last 4 games overall. The Lakers are in the same short-term boat, coming off a loss to the Kings, a win over the Hawks, and then a date with the Trail Blazers after this, while also having lost 3 of their last 4. The Hornets are still listed as missing Pat Connaughton, Mason Plumlee, and Colin Sexton, which on paper leaves them short on depth and experience. The Lakers have ruled out Austin Reeves, with Jackson Hayes questionable, so they are not at full strength either, especially on the perimeter and in the front court rotation. Charlotte has struggled to stack wins this season, but they have already shown they can punch above their weight with some upset victories, and that always lingers in the back of your mind when you see a big number next to their name. It would not even be a huge shock if they managed to clip the Lakers, who have not looked close to their best since Reeves went down, even if the raw talent is still there. That said, on their home floor, the Lakers are still the clear favorite in this matchup, and the market reflects that. Here is the thing, the Hornets have played better basketball than their overall record suggests, and they have covered 7 of their last 10 games, which quietly makes them a bit friendlier to back with the points than people might assume. If you want to grab the dog and the spread, you have some numbers to support it, and honestly, you would not be crazy to do so given how up and down the Lakers have been. The problem is that Los Angeles remains a veteran group, and if they are serious about making a push this season, games like this cannot slip away. We are in the middle of January. This is where you start chipping away at the standings, and sitting just 2.5 games from the second seed in the West, the Lakers simply have to cash in against teams below them if they want that to mean anything. This is exactly the kind of spot where experience, urgency, and home court should tilt things toward the favorite doing its job, especially with the line sitting in a range that is not outrageous. So while the Hornets are live enough to be annoying, the lean stays with the Lakers to handle their business, win, and cover in front of their own fans. As our first pick for this matchup, the Los Angeles Lakers to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. The Hornets are averaging 116.3 points on 45.8% shooting while allowing 116.6 points on 48.2% shooting, so their games usually feature both teams getting what they want for long stretches. They are knocking down 37.2% of their three-point attempts and 81.2% from the free throw line, which gives them a nice blend of spacing and efficiency at the stripe. On the other end, they are allowing opponents to shoot 37.6% from deep, and they are grabbing 45.2 rebounds per game, which means there are plenty of good looks and second chance opportunities built into their usual box score. The Lakers are averaging 115.9 points on a very strong 49.6% shooting and allowing 116.3 points on 48.6% shooting. They are hitting 34.2% from beyond the arc and 77.6% at the free throw line. So while the three-point clip is more modest, the overall field goal percentage is high, and they still cash in a healthy share of their freebies. Defensively, they are allowing 36.8% shooting from deep and pulling down 41.4 rebounds per game, which leaves room for opponents to stay comfortable from the outside and keep the tempo from bogging down too often. Put together, you have two teams that both sit right around the mid-100 teens in points scored and points allowed, with efficiency numbers that support steady offense and defensive numbers that are far from lockdown. Strong free throw shooting from Charlotte, efficient overall shooting from Los Angeles, and leaky three-point defense on both sides all suggest a flow where scoring runs are common and long dry spells are less likely. In that kind of environment, it does not take much, one high-scoring quarter here, a stretch of fouls and free throws there, for the combined total to creep over a standard line rather than stall out below it. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed, subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.